Signals and sparks, lighting the way in the world of ideas. We'll boldly sway, transforming the data, giving it sound on this vibrant journey. Let's astound and astound.
Welcome to the second series of After Dinner Chats. This is Signal and Sparks. Jamie is the 18th guest that we've got on our list here today. I've known him for years. We pitched from one business together in the Middle East, and we've had countless dinners and swap stories. And he is one of the most impressive agency owners that I know. He's great at putting business at the heart of commercial outcomes for all, and this is inherent in his ability to run and drive a company from B to C to D. Yeah, and by that I mean from Bournemouth to Chengdu to Dubai, and San Francisco. Look, I think he's an original thinker and a top bloke, and I hope you find that he comes across as such in this conversation. Jamie, good to see you.
Great to see you too, James.
Now, I'm going to launch straight in, if I may. My first question is around the signal and the noise. What's something that you've seen in the news or somewhere in the world this week that would be an interesting signal for the future?
I'm going to focus this on China and a recent trip and daily conversations with them, and focus it mostly on AI and their vision for AI over the US's vision, and where the US is creating, like, trying to create behemoth AI, and China is creating bespoke AI. And for me, far less compute power, far more intelligent, and get one job done really, really well. So that would be something that I'm sort of focused in when it comes to sort of AI and our daily lives.
Really interesting. So where does that take us in EMEA? I was about to say Europe, but you're not in Europe. You're in the Middle East. So where does that take us? We're stuck between the US and China. Are we going the American way or the Chinese way? And which way should we go?
Yeah, I think that's up to you. But for me, we're going the Chinese way. So that is basically building out less compute models and sort of more intelligence on subject matters. So that's the route that we're going, because I believe that I mean, AI is so incredible, and it's doing such incredible things for the industry. But there's a reason why it's you've got the equivalent of I'll use pounds, of a £20,000 member of staff for $20 a month. So those prices are going to go up because of the compute power required to drive those huge models. Whereas I'm trying to focus on the smaller models, more bespoke models, because that uses far less compute and tokens.
All right, Joe, I'm going to take a step back, though, to the question of when we talk about AI, those two little letters embrace all a massive amount of different things. Are we talking about LLMs here, or are we talking about the agentic approach that we should be taking? Or what are we talking about when we say it's the big approach or the bespoke approach?
Yeah, so if you look within WeChat and the Chinese approach, and they've put big guardrails in as a country. They're educating their school children in and around AI and its capabilities, and also it's got guardrails. But within WeChat, it's got over 2,000 different AIs, whereas in the West, we're trying to build. Or in the US specifically, they're trying to build, one model that's going to do absolutely everything. Whereas in China, they're building models that are that are doing one thing really, really well and far less compute power. So faster.
Isn't that what we're doing with different agents, having the multi-agent approach, where we have lots of different agents that then do each thing? So within WPP Open, you will have an agent that does one thing and another agent that does another thing and another agent that does another thing, and then we work out then how we can put those agents to work together as a team to go forwards. Is that a same sort of thing?
I think in theory, yes, but it depends on what those agents are built on. So the sort of the Chinese route tends to be sort of more bespoke around a particular function or a particular desired outcome. Whereas I'm imagining that you're building on top of a US engine.
I'm imagining that too, because I didn't build anything. I just use them for various things along the way, and then double check with my colleagues to make sure that what I'm doing is the best use of the tools that we have, because we do have some interesting products being built at the moment, as everybody does. That's a really interesting piece, and I'm going to look more into those two approaches. Thank you for that. Which brings me to the next question, Jamie, around connecting the dots. So we want to talk about your process and where you look for signals, the data, the trends, and the quiet observations, and how you turn them into creative sparks. You've mentioned China. I'd love to hear a little bit more about why China's on your radar, and you can tell us about that. And then there's some of the other things that are also within your wheelhouse and the dots that you are connecting.
Yeah, so I get my intel from a number of different podcasts and just being quite obsessed by it, but also mostly the stuff on the ground from our various different offices. So I do get insights from our office in San Francisco, but obviously the UK is a big studio for us, and then Amsterdam, Madrid, Berlin, Dubai, and then Chengdu and Shenzhen in China. So I'm on daily calls to my teams in those offices, and feeding in, just what's actually happening on the ground. What are people using? And we've also got 25 different nationalities on staff, and I've got a very open policy from an innovation standpoint as to getting everybody to chip in. And what sort of ideas are you bringing to the table? So we trained all of our team on code, on vibe coding. Don't like that term, but it's and what that enables us to do, or enables my staff to do, is come up with ideas and actually produce on a meeting you can create a dashboard. Talking to a client about a solution to a particular business problem that they've got, and you can literally do it and go, well, would something like this work for you? And I think that sort of, and I know that you guys are doing it with a productized approach, but I see that as being a big part of our future as well. Probably not the same scale that you guys are doing it, but it's certainly a big part of our future, and productizing business challenges that if one client's got one, it's quite often that they'll all have a very similar type of challenge.
So tell me, what is it that you and your teams are doing? Tell us all a little bit more about Crowd and what these offices around the globe are doing.
Yeah, we're a global marketing agency, and we haven't acquired businesses all over the world. We've built them, so we all work in the same way. We all genuinely like each other. There's only a team of about 55, I think, at the moment, and but from that we've got 25 different nationalities, speak 17 different languages, and really understand the culture and often the subcultures of the territories that we help businesses, brands, and governments into. So it's that joined up thinking that enables us to adapt a message, create a message, and adapt it for each of the markets. And if you're looking at some of the larger markets, then the creative is going to be different if you're looking at someone in the north or the south or the east or the west. So it's doing just that. But having 25 different nationalities enables us to really understand the cultures.
Tell me about what you're doing with the Department for Trade, the UK Department for Trade, because I see LinkedIn posts about this.
Yeah, Department of Business and Trade. I'm an export champion. So DBT, Department of Business and Trade, have been great for us. They've supported us from the get-go. And what that enables me to do is get into, I don't know whether anyone realizes, but they've got DBT have got sort of staff in pretty much every country and probably in a few cities in some of the bigger countries. And their job is to help us connect with businesses and to help British businesses export. So I've been very honoured to be an export champion since the programme started, and that gets me contacts at consulates that can arrange meetings, particularly in a country like China, where it's very much government to government. So you get meetings with Huawei and some of the larger brands. That's just one example, but these are introductions that I wouldn't have been able to get myself. So I would highly recommend anybody to reach out to DBT.
Is DBT the same as London and Partners? Because I know that you were on a London and Partners course a while ago, a growth course, I think it was, and that's run by Laura Citron. And I used to work at WPP, and I met her at a WPP Stream event in Phuket, 15 years ago, and then I caught up with her last year in Greece at a different WPP Stream event. Tell me about what you're doing with London and Partners, or is that the same thing?
London and Partners is when DBT sort of were maybe too focused on London as the capital, sort of the levelling up. So DBT supports businesses all over the country, and London and Partners support businesses that are based in London specifically. So I'm very excited to be over at their growth retreat next week in London, actually in Windsor, and been accepted on another one of their cohorts. But yeah, that particular trip was outstanding, because not only do you go and travel, in this case we went to Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Shanghai, and arrange meetings in each of those locations. But the really cool thing is I'm still in contact with these other like-minded people, other agency owners, or people that are looking to branch into these markets. So, there's some really good contacts just within the cohort, and that would be the group of people that are on the trip. So,
very interesting. Now I'm going to jump on to the next section, which is the high five section. So this is a quick round of questions to finish up with. First up, I'd like to ask, who's your hero?
James Bond.
And what do you admire about his ability to kill people with impunity?
What I admire about James Bond, I think it's just something growing up, and I've been very lucky to travel and live all over the world, and I've always just thought it was super cool, to be honest. So, and I think Daniel Craig did a fantastic job of that character. I'm slightly concerned about it's now owned by Amazon, I think, isn't it, or Disney, one of the two, Amazon. So I'm intrigued as to the next the next chapters of that book, but yeah.
Well, maybe the next one will look like you and me with the grey beard and the glasses and less hair than some of the previous Bonds. Your best decision to date?
Best decision to date, I think it was wanting to, for business-wise, it would be starting Crowd and looking. I had an agency in the UK that I started in '99, and when I exited that in 2012, I wanted a global agency, and that was my best. I've had an incredible journey, and still having an incredible journey. So it enables me to travel, to work with some incredible people, but 25 different nationalities, so many different perspectives, and ones that I wouldn't have had if I was still just based in the UK.
Fair. Your worst decision to date?
My worst decision to date. I don't know. I did when I saw that question, I did think, right, there's been so many, so it's and I continue to make bad decisions. But I think as long as you learn from them, then it's there's some good there.
You're not going to give me one then.
I cannot give you one specific the worst decision. I mean, okay, there'd be a couple of people that I've hired over the 25 years of.
Let's not name them. Let's not name them. So tell me about your funniest moment.
My funniest moment. Okay, and I did think about this too, and I have relayed this story before. So probably in about 2007, I was doing a large campaign for the NHS, and it was around gonorrhea and sexual health. And this was the time when we were developing Flash websites, super immersive websites, and we had this somewhat crazy idea. But in order to pitch it into the NHS and the sexual health team that we were working with, I had to say, and it was two ladies, and I said, okay, I need you to work with me on this one. Close your eyes, imagine you're in a big dark room and there's a ginormous penis in front of you, and you're exploring it. And what it was that it was an interactive site that was based around Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So when you get down tiny, and it was to showcase some of the probably more nastier sexually transmitted diseases. But we felt that if we did it in a slightly more engaging way, then people would be able to identify maybe what there was. Obviously, there was two versions of it, but I started with that, and I won the pitch, surprisingly. But that was when I recall having to do that. That was quite an amusing pitch.
Did that happen in the end that way?
Yeah. And you know what? When we ran that campaign, this was the time when you could on Facebook geo-target and postcode target. And Dorset, which was it was from BH1 to BH15, was the most chlamydia postal kits than the rest of the country. So the whole concept was we were able to target people that were between the age of 18 and 22 and single. And obviously that's a demographic that was experiencing challenges with chlamydia. So it was, we absolutely smashed all the records.
There's a case study. There's a case study for you. Next question, a bright spark. I'm going to ask you to recommend one more person for me to speak to. And of course, to speak to somebody on this, they have to have been to a dinner. So maybe you'll be suggesting that I invite somebody to one of the dinner parties.
I'm going to suggest that you invite Matthew Horrobin. And the reason for that is not only is he an incredible strategist, good guy, but he introduced me to you.
I'd be delighted to catch up with Matt again. Good, I'll reach out to him and see when he's in town next. Jamie, thank you so much for this. It's been fun catching up.
James, brilliant. Thank you.
In the twilight, we gather around the table, stories to share, ideas unstable with signals bright.